Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Every Monday, the TTPS joins us with Inspector Michelle Lewis to speak on a pertinent topic to our society in Trinidad and Tobago. And we continue the conversation from last week where we touched on gang violence, and we're getting a little bit deeper. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you both. Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago and to your international audience on the World Wide Web.
It's a pleasure to have you with us on the show. Last week, we just spoke about some of, the components of gang violence. We touched on community, a bit on the TTPS, and we also glossed over the legislative parts of it. So let's start our conversation there this morning with the legislative part and how it correlates to gang violence.
So we continued because last weekend we saw where 4 persons lost their life in Powder Magazine as a result of gang violence. And then in March, we saw where 5 persons were murdered in Harp Place as a result of gang violence. So it is a topic that is hot, it's a topic that is a very serious one, and one that has very serious consequences, not just for the country, but for the persons who are involved. So as mentioned last week, most of the persons who we observe or who we note in gangs are young people. Right, and one of the things that we mentioned last week is that they are manipulated, they are groomed into gang activities and looking at what is the benefits and the good side of it. So this morning we're going to look at what the law says about it, and when you are involved and engaged in gang activities, what you can face in court, what your penalties are like. Because for every action, you have to reply to it. In terms of your behavior and your conduct, so that if you're a good citizen, a good person in society, fine, but if you are going contrary to the law, there are consequences, penalties for your action. And so this morning we are looking at it from that angle. So a gang refers to a combination of 2 or more persons engaged in gang activities. And gang-related activities can be anything from violent crimes such as murders, robberies, larceny, motor vehicle, rape, arson, and stuff like that. So that is the definition of a gang. And somebody who's in a gang, and a gang doesn't have to be formal. It could be informal. It could be a gang that has no name, very informal, right? But once it's 2 persons or more agreeing on one particular act or a series of acts that are violent in nature and going on a particular way, a gang. By the law, right? And we're talking about the Anti-Gang Act, chapter number 4 of 2021.
So I just want to jump in for a quick moment there, because you said it's once 2 persons or more. So if 2 friends come together and make a decision to perhaps commit a violent crime, it can be put under that heading of gang.
Doesn't matter who is the leader or follower, a gang.
I'm curious as to the specification of violent crimes. Non-violent crime, white-collar crime, if you will, would not fall under the gang.
No, we're not saying that.
Okay.
White-collar crimes do fall under gangs. We have a lot of them that fall and are related to gang activities. So yes, it will include white-collar crimes as well.
Yeah. Is that
especially money laundering and stuff?
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
All right. Well, in that case, as you mentioned that in particular, coming off of what Ayanka just mentioned there, is that something that you also see prevalent in our society? Because we see gang violence. I mean, you just mentioned some devastating things that have taken place that sit with society. But when it comes to white-collar crime, is that also something you see prevalent as well?
We have noted an increase in white-collar crimes. We do have sections within the organization that actually treat with, investigate white-collar crime. There are some offenses, of course, where white-collar crimes are concerned that cross borders, and the investigation could be very extensive. So the investigations into those continue to take place, but the offenses are there, and the investigations are there, and so we don't want persons to say that we're not hearing in relation to white-collar crimes, but they are.
Right.
We do.
That kind of spurs my primary question this morning, because when we talk about gang violence, the ability to identify it or have it identified usually comes from police reporting. This is gang related. There are suspicions, there will be persons voicing their opinions, but there is also a level of sensitivity and discretion that the police have to exercise, because as you just mentioned, many of these instances are ongoing, crossing borders, require additional support from other entities. So how is it, or rather, what do you actually share with the public in the case of making sure that you get the public support without compromising a particular case? Because from what you've described, this is ongoing for years and years and years.
Yes, so the protection, the preservation of the person and their life is important. That's of paramount importance. As you know, we do have the Justice Protection Program for persons who are witness in matters where their life would be at risk and they want it, right? Thankfully, and in Trinidad and Tobago, we have not had anybody who was inside of the Witness Protection Program who any injury or harm came to them as a result of being in the program to give evidence, right? We noted that when they come out of it, that these things happen. But we also have to be sensitive in relation to where the person lives and the extended families. And so even with gang-related activities and persons sharing that information with us, we know that persons have serious and real concerns in relation to it. In discussing last week where children are exposed, minors, persons under the age of 18 are exposed to seeing firearms in their home, ammunition and stuff like that in their home. And then we also want persons to come to us and tell us that, you know, this is what is happening in your home. But there's a level of loyalty when you have captured the heart and the trust of a young person for that person now to go against you, especially if it's blood, right? So we are faced in the country where persons are exposed to violence and to gang activities, but don't know how to come forward with it for loyalty in terms of that. And then, of course, there is the conviction or the weight and the pressure put on the person that I am doing this to put food on the table. So if I am exposed, then you're exposing your family. And this also happened in relation to sexual offenses in a home, where a mother would be with somebody and they would say, oh, most cases a mother, to be fact, right? That's what our data shows us. Most cases it's a woman, she has somebody else, that person interferes with the other children in the home, and the fact that the person is the breadwinner, or not to talk about it. So we see the same in gang-related and gang violence, where children are exposed to it, exposed to firearm and violent crimes, but because of that loyalty, they do not want to come out and say anything. It is a real concern, and hence the reason why we have police youth clubs here to support children and give them that safe space. But the concerns are really there now. When young people get themselves involved in criminal activity and they are charged for a criminal offense, so let's look at what the penalty is for someone who is involved in a gang and what the law says. So if you are a gang member and you are charged for that offense, that person commits an offense under that section and on conviction, on indictment to imprisonment to 25 years. Being a gang member, a gang leader, performs an act as a condition for a membership in a gang or professes to be a gang leader or a gang member in order to gain benefit for himself and others, or to intimidate others, or to promote gang. The penalty, 25 years.
25 years.
Now you mentioned that in some cases, with the definition of a gang rather, if you're not, even if it's not defined as a gang, it would still constitute gang behaviors and relations. So how do you charge those persons who don't have that official title? Same sort of penalty?
So when you say the word official, because remember gang can be unofficial.
Right, this is what I'm asking. So if somebody is not proclaimed to be part of a gang, there's no evidence, there's no proof of them saying so, but their behaviors it is still
Correct.
The same penalty.
So the behavior, the association, the act that was committed, whether it is formal or informal, it is a gang because of the criminal act that is being committed. And so young persons need to understand, persons generally need to understand that a lot of violent crimes fall in the category of gang-related activities. And as a result of that, you can be classified as being in a gang and being a gang member. And so you will be charged for more than one offense. You'll be charged for being a gang member, you'll be charged for motor vehicle larceny, you'll be charged for whatever other offenses that come with whatever act that you committed. Now, one of the things that happen to young people when they commit an act, and that matter is still before the court, is that their fingerprint impression would have been taken. And as a result of that fingerprint impression, you have matters before the court that are pending before the court, indictable matters in the High Court. And so maybe at some point you may have changed your life, or you're looking to change your life, but you have this criminal record against your name. And so it kind of pressures you or keeps you in a box that sometimes you don't really want to remain in as you grow older.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because you see many people who are doing their best to change their lives and have made changes and maybe have maybe 1 or 2 more years, and then unfortunately something happens. It's such a challenge for them to be able to navigate through that. What is that period? Is there a period that you can go through and then it's removed from your record, or is this it for life?
It is. So in the law of Trinidad, if it is the first time that you committed an offense, you can ask for it to be removed of the record, to be expunged.
Okay.
If it is that you have a series of offenses, then it remains, the data remains there.
Okay, that's something to note as well.
Of course, there's the president pardon that persons can apply to the president and obtain, but your criminal record remains for a period of time. But what is important this morning for the listeners to note is that if you are involved in criminal activity, there's a saying, the longest rope has an end.
Amen.
We want you to understand that you may appear to be getting away with it now, so that if the law doesn't catch up with you, death may catch up with you, because your lifestyle may short-live you, and you would be no more a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, be able to enjoy the sceneries of Trinidad and Tobago and have fun. So this morning we want to employ persons. Gang life, gang activity is nowhere to go. It's not a life to live. The law is very strict on it. 25 years as a person who is 20 years, getting convicted for 25 years, that's the best years of your life gone right there. And if it is the law does not catch up with you, and another member of a gang catches up with you, your life would be even shorter. So it's a stern warning that we are sending to everyone this morning. Do not engage in gang activities. Do not have persons in your home, cohabit them in your home, because there is an offense like that, that you have persons hiding in your home as a gang member and a gang leader. You can be charged as well. You have a child and you cause that child to become a member of a gang, there's a charge for that as well, 15 years imprisonment. So the law is very detailed and very strict when it comes to violent and gang activities. So this morning, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is saying to each and every one of you, if you see something, say something. We need your help to curb crime and to stop what is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago.
Inspector Michelle Lewis giving us a stern warning that we are ever so grateful for, but we will continue this conversation and others at another time. For now, when we get back, your birthdays and belated Mother's Day greetings on the Now Morning Show.